This is the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Kick back and hang with your hosts, Kayode, Lewis, and Joel. Let's mark out.
Oh yeah, baby. Episode 82 on the Mark Wrestling Podcast coming to you live, or you're streaming this on your podcast, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Welcome to the show. I'm your boy Kayode, joined by none other than the legendary three-man band themselves, Joel and Lewis. Fellas, what's happening? What's going on with you?
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. We are in post Super Bowl mode, post Royal Rumble mode. It's post everything. So, man. But actually, it's post everything, but pre WrestleMania. So
pre WrestleMania.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm saying.
This is the road to WrestleMania, right? This is the official.
Yeah,
it
baby.
is the official road to. I can't believe we're here right now, man. Like it feels like 40 just happened. Like we just got over that. It's wild. It's wild.
It feels weird. If I'm gonna say the road to WrestleMania so far as a start feels odd, and it's not to say that it's bad. It just feels like, I don't know. Like there's just something about it.
Does it feel less important, Lewis?
Nah, I don't think it, but you hit on a good point. I think everybody is still, and it's crazy to say this, but I think everybody is still on an emotional high from WrestleMania 40. That's how much of a lasting impression it had. And that was, we're talking now 9 months ago, 10 months ago.
Right.
That's pretty amazing.
That is pretty amazing. And, I just before we get right into it, I've been seeing a lot of people saying they're not crazy excited for this 41. There are people saying like the what could be the card doesn't seem that interesting. Mixed reviews with the Jey Uso and Gunther match. I
called it.
You did, and people are starting to say like, is that really a Mania match? Can that main event? I think it can main event. I think we're going to have to be given something really different. Jay's got to pull out a move book that we've never seen before. Your man might he might have to bring the crossface chicken wing. He might have to bring all that back. he might bring all that back. But with that said, man, this is the road to WrestleMania, and with that, I want to get into some big things. We got the administrator's report coming at you. Lewis, what is happening in the world of wrestling when it comes to your report, my brother? What we got?
All right, everybody, welcome to the administrator's report.
Yes,
I love the administrator's report for various reasons. One, because I get to run my mouth, and two, I get to just talk about a variety of things. It's not always going to be viewership data per se, right? But it's just going to be my take on certain things when it comes to AEW, WWE, and maybe another promotion. So, with that said, the main topic of conversation with this administrator's report on this episode is going to pertain to AEW's Collision. Yes, the ugly sibling, step sibling, if you will, of Dynamite. Collision debuted 2 years ago, and needless to say, it has been presented as the B show or the less important show for the most part. But there's something about Collision in the year 2025 thus far. I know we're only in mid-February, but there's something about it that feels different. It's starting to feel like it has its own unique presentation, its own unique flow. The match quality, the story progression, everything has been pretty damn solid on Collision this year so far. And I want to give a shout out to all the fans out here in Houston because Collision came to town. It was a hot ticket, apparently. I'm saying apparently.
Gotta give it.
I'm saying apparently. I was there, folks. So I was there in person for Collision last weekend, and it was a banger of a show. It was just a great show from start to finish. The main event, especially between Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher, awesome main event. I think that's about as awesome of a main event as you can get on a Saturday night TV show, right? But because it was so it was promoted very well, I must say. Like, they stacked up the card. You had Houston Harley's it's such a tongue twister. Basically, Harley Cameron's Houston halftime show, which was great. I love Harley Cameron. Shout out to Harley Cameron. She is doing the best work of her. It's been a short career so far, but she is doing some phenomenal work, and she's slowly becoming one of the most over talents in the business today. And I couldn't be happier for her, to be honest. But this past week, Collision did see an increase in viewership. Now, of course, it's not astounding numbers. They did somewhere in the 380,000 range.
380,000?
Yeah, and it was an increase from the previous week. But to put things into perspective, AEW, when they were going up against the Royal Rumble, they were obviously going to have low viewership. This was the first time in about 4 weeks that they didn't have to compete with anything major that WWE was putting out, such as a PLE or Saturday Night's Main Event, or just nothing else that was major that was occurring on Saturday. To my knowledge, there might have been a UFC. I think there was a UFC pay-per-view, but that was about it. But yeah, what do y'all think, fellas? Collision, is it becoming must-see television for AEW? Because we've always kind of brushed off Collision like, whatever, we just catch the highlights. But they're promoting it like, yo, you got to tune in on Saturday night now. And if this past episode of Collision was any indication, we're gonna get some quality TV every Saturday night. That's what it seems like. So yeah, what do y'all think? Let me hear your thoughts, Joel. What's going on with Collision?
Yeah, man, I gotta agree with you. Collision has been good, I would say, since the Continental Classic. It's been like relatively good. Matches have been great. I think a good thing they're doing now is that they're actually making the storylines progress on both shows. So a lot of the mock storyline, where has been a lot of frustration for a lot of AEW fans, because it seems like it's not going anywhere. But a lot of the storyline has actually happened on Collision. So things like that. Mariah May's title reign was mostly on Collision as well. So like, there's a lot of stuff that's been quietly kept away on Collision. So now it's nice to see that they're actually intertwining the stories a little bit. On tonight's episode of Dynamite, we saw them recap some Collision stuff, things that they haven't been doing before. So they're definitely making it a way more cohesive product all around. For me, you gotta treat it as must see. It's just that the time slot kills it, right? Like 8 p.m. on a Saturday night. There's so much other stuff happening. 8 p.m. Eastern Saturday. That's tough, man. And like, I myself, I'm an AEW sicko, quote unquote, right? But I don't watch it live. I don't think I've ever caught a Collision live at 8 p.m. on a Saturday. I always watch it Sunday morning, put it on while I'm on the treadmill or something, and just kick back and watch some Sunday morning wrestling. That sounds fire to me. Yeah. But Saturday night, man, I'm watching a movie or something, kicking it back with wifey. I ain't trying to watch no wrestling on a Saturday night unless it's a PLE.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Unless it was a PLE.
And that's kind of what it is. But I don't know if they could do another night, because you think about it, like, wrestling is stacked right now. We got Monday Night Raw, Tuesday NXT, Wednesday Dynamite. Thursday, I guess, is open. That's Impact. Nobody really knows where Impact is. BET Plus, like Kayode
BET Plus, baby. That's what.
So maybe that might be a good move. You throw Collision on a Thursday instead, but then you got back-to-back nights. I don't know. I don't really know what you could do to make people really tune into that. But quietly, it has been must-see if you want to keep up with the product. I would have to agree with that.
Yeah. You know what, man? I gotta say, this past Collision, is the Collision that made me sit back and think like, yo, I got to maybe check out the rest of them. I got to see what it looks like after this. It was dope. I really enjoyed. I enjoyed it almost more than that week's Dynamite. To tell you the truth.
Oh yeah.
The crowd was hot, Lou. Like the matches were solid. The pacing was great. The Harley halftime show was fun and different and just entertaining. But like my boy Joel said though, Saturday is an awkward day. It's an awkward night, bro. Like. There's gotta be a blizzard outside for me to sit back and legit watch. And that's legit what happened. Not a blizzard, but we did get snow. So that's what made me watch it while I was inside. I was like, okay, I might as well throw on a little Collision. But yeah, man, I thought it was, I am curious to see what they do moving forward in terms of like making Collision feel like appointment viewing. Like I want to make sure I want to know if what we saw last week is not one of those things where it's like just a one-time thing,
like a one-off,
like a one-off, right? Like I hope not, but I'm going to check it out though. I'm very curious, but yeah, man, it was a dope show. It was a dope show. And listen, I'm gonna put Harley over, and I feel like I'm putting her over every week. Yeah. Every week I see her, she's doing something different. Here's the test, though. Here's the test. She can't be bad in the ring come Australian Open or whatever the hell they're calling this, right? Aussie, whatever the hell this thing is, right? She can't be bad. Like she can't show how green she is in that match with Mercedes. Mercedes is going to expose her, like it's going to, and not on purpose, but because Mercedes is just that more skilled. And I just hope Harley can keep up and not look like she don't belong. So if she can look like she sort of belongs, and that maybe she still got a little work to do, but yet her in ring is slightly decent, we might get a decent match. But if it looks like she has no business being in that ring, I feel for Harley, because that is going to be the biggest hurdle of her career, is that she'll never get over if she can't be at least at midpoint with some of the more experienced women wrestlers. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see.
We shall see. But overall, I'm very happy and satisfied that I got to experience Collision, because the tickets were really affordable. I had a great time, and I paid far less money than I would have paid for Raw when they came to Houston back in December. So, and it was a much more enjoyable show.
Nice. Well, listen, man, I got that one good Collision in when the main event was MJF and Kenny Omega. Oof, so I had a real good one, and those tickets was like $40, and I was like second row, second tier. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. Big up to AEW for keeping the poor man in those audiences, because
for sure,
because they've been hooking us up. Those you wait till the last minute, you might get like a front row seat for like $100. Who knows? You may get something crazy.
I can't wait for All In July.
Yeah, man, you got All In July. I'm still contemplating that. By the way, I'm still seeing if I'm gonna make it out there. But I wanted to show some love to some people, but usually I show some love to people, right? But in this case, for the some showing some love segment, it actually is going to, believe it or not, I'm showing love to the Max platform. I'm showing love to the let's do that. Right? And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm telling you why I'm giving love to Max. Out of both experiences, fellas, for me, both technical and just general picture quality, Max has been has legit been the better of the two for out of Netflix and Max. Raw looks like complete garbage on my TV screen, and the glitches. It looks terrible. You would think I'm working with like dial-up internet. Like you think I got, I'm working with nothing here. I got the bunny ear antennas. It looks crazy. But Max is crystal clear. No technical glitches. The ads run, and when they run, they stop. Then you get a little waiting box. Wait for your show to return back on air, and boom, takes you right back. It is seamless. It is the most crisp picture out of the two. I gotta show some love for Max. Max has definitely shown that they have some. They are making AEW a priority. Definitely a priority. In terms of production. I mean, and we see that, especially with the camera, the new cameras, the boards on the side of the ring now, and around the around the audience. You could tell they're spending a lot more money on this product, and it feels big time. It feels bigger. And tonight's audience in Dynamite, they look like they damn near sold the place out. I don't know what the hard cam side looked like, but the audience looked pretty solid in terms of how full it was. Definitely a smaller venue, but it definitely looked like they lit up the place a lot better. What do you guys think, man? Do you think Max has taken AEW and made it a priority, or how's your picture with Netflix anyway? Because I'm telling you right now, I got to record it. My Netflix picture is terrible. I'm using Apple. I'm using Fire Stick. I'm using everything. Roku, nothing. It is terrible. I don't know what's going on.
I find that rather humorous, because the Netflix for me, when it's streaming on Raw, it is very hit or miss. Like at certain points, and mind you, I'm not streaming the entire time, but at certain points, I'm getting like the pixelated images.
Yeah, man.
And then like maybe 5 minutes later, it'll be a clear picture for 20 minutes, and then it's inconsistent. Whereas with Max, every time I queue it up for either Dynamite or a little bit of Collision, it's a very, very seamless stream. I have very little to no issues, actually. So that's been my experience thus far with Max.
How about you, Joe?
Yeah, same for me. I haven't had any issues with Max at all. I have to believe, though, it must be the difference in the audience, right? Like the bandwidth that Netflix is dealing with when people are watching Monday Night Raw compared
That's probably true. Yeah.
What Max is. But one of the good things about Max that I think I probably like underestimated is the fact that it has opened the fan base up a lot. Like I think a lot more people are tuning into AEW now through Max that weren't watching it at all. And I have firsthand experience with a couple of friends that have hit me up and been like, yo, I'm watching AEW now. Also, I think it's because of our podcast, cheap plug. I got to shout us out real quick.
Shout them out.
But they've been seeing our clips on social and they're like, yo, let me check out this AEW that these guys are always talking about. So that works as well. But then the fact that it's on Max is so easy for people to just throw that on. Because, the thing with our generation, not many people have cable anymore, right?
Sure.
Like a lot of people are cable cutters. Like me, myself, before Raw was on Netflix, I was finding my own ways of watching Raw because I ain't have cable. I don't remember the last time I had cable. So
word, yeah, man.
So I was, I was sailing the seas a little bit, doing some things, but we ain't gonna talk about that. But like the fact that it's on Max and they do a good job of putting it front and center. Like you turn on Max, and if Dynamite is on, it's usually that first card you see.
Exactly.
You just click right into it. Netflix does the same with Raw, but it's cool to see that Max is putting a lot behind AEW. And it must mean like all these networks are probably fiending for this wrestling content. Because if you think about it, man, the fact that Netflix was willing to drop $5 billion on Monday Night Raw, like that had to open up a lot of eyes and ears in all these network companies. And they're like, what's up with this wrestling stuff? Why does Netflix want this for so much?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that helped AEW get that nice deal from Max. And hopefully we see other companies, like TNA. Hopefully they get off of BET Plus or wherever they at.
Yeah, wherever they at.
I love that that's an ongoing joke.
I know BET Plus.
You let me know when you find them.
I don't know where they are. Someone tell us where they are.
Listen. I know where they are. They're on Access TV, AXS.
Bro, what's that?
right. Yeah, like Access doesn't have to my knowledge, they don't have a streaming platform. But no, Joel, you made a good point, and it's something that it just got me thinking as you were saying it, that the Max, Netflix, all of that creates an ease of access to the fans, especially from our generation, because you're right, like cable and live television, that's really a thing of the past now. You got to be like our parents' generation, basically, that still rely on cable. Like, what channel is it on? What time does it come on? Whereas with us, we just need the time and the streaming platform if it's going to be a live stream. Because like we got our phones, we got our laptops, we have all of the things to access whatever we want to watch at any point in time. So the fact that AEW has opened up more eyes and ears on the product through Max, that's fantastic, because Max already has plenty of subscribers. I don't think any streaming platform is gonna win the streaming wars per se against Netflix, but Max is up there. It's like one of the bigger ones. If anything, it's like a number 2 or number 3 in terms of subscriber fan base and stuff like that. So yeah, for sure. You open up Max and you see it. So it's good. It's good for Max, right? But it's also good for the industry. The more eyes on pro wrestling, whether it's AEW, WWE, the better it is, because we want to see the industry survive and thrive for decades to come.
Listen, man, there's rumors that Tony's trying to get a TV deal or some type of streaming deal for Ring of Honor. And if he could do that, now Ring of Honor is back in play to be possibly must watch. Maybe you got some people over there, like we were talking like a while ago. Athena, I keep going back to her because she's killing it. Yeah. Homegirl lost a little weight. She's looking better. She's looking good. I mean, she's transformed herself, and now she's a star, bigger star than I think she was even in WWE. So maybe that might be a platform where we might have to start watching Ring of Honor, especially if they get them on Max. I mean, now you're talking about opening up that product to a whole new audience. Like I'm thinking that possibly could happen.
That would be huge. Like if they got ROH on Max as well, in addition to AEW, that would be huge. For just think about what a win that would be, regardless of how you feel about Tony Khan's ownership of Ring of Honor. Just think of what that would do for the brand, because it has so much history, especially for all the indie wrestling nerds, right? That would be huge. And the ROH matches, like. Right, that library is phenomenal. Phenomenal. So, those matches that I stayed for, I think I missed like 2 matches when they were taping during the Collision event. The matches were solid, man. Like there's talent there. There really is. So if he can make that work, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll see. We'll see what if AEW could pull off this Hail Mary to get in the Ring of Honor on some type of streaming platform. And that's me showing love to Max. Max they've been doing their thing with AEW. They've been showing, listen, we paid you a lot of money. We're locked in.
Word.
So we're gonna give you whatever you need, baby. What you need? You need new cameras, 4K? Okay, we got you. LED boards? Let's work. Let's talk. Like now we're in business together, right? We make you look good. You make us look good. Bring 100,000 eyes to this product, and maybe we're talking business. We're talking business. But that takes me to some other business. Joel, do you have a haters club this week?
I do, man. I do.
Uh-oh. All right. What we working with, man?
Unfortunately, man, because the thing with the hater club, and I've explained this before, but just for our new fans listening, I hate because I love, right?
Yeah, man.
So it's not me just hating, just to hate. There's a lot of hate already in the wrestling universe, wrestling fan, place. So I don't do this out of hate. I do this out of love. So when I do have someone to induct into the hater club, it actually hurts me a little bit, right? So
I think we're getting worked right now.
This week, I'm watching all the weekly TV on wrestling. I'm like, who am I gonna put in the hater club this week? And then I'm watching Dynamite, and it hurts me because this is a man who I've been a fan of for years. And there's a lot of chatter online about how, this guy is washed, get off TV, please retire.
Yes.
All that.
Yes.
Chris Jericho, you have been inducted to the hater club this week. And unfortunately, it's just not working anymore, man.
Is that working?
Like, it's just not. Like, he has been one of those wrestlers who's been able to reinvent himself time after time after time, right? And there's been many times where fans have doubted him and they were like, this is whack, this is trash. And then he won them over. The list, you just made the list. When he came back and didn't say a word for like months. And everybody was like, what the fuck is this? What the hell? Say something. He won everyone over. We eventually were like, hell yeah, this is awesome. But right now, I don't know what he's doing. I feel like he's looking at wrestling as like, you could see that he's looking for dollar signs, and it's very obvious. He's like, what could be a t-shirt? Like that is his mentality constantly. And this week, perfect example. Lewis, you were at Collision. You saw the very organic and dope moment in that Bandito versus Brian Keith match, where they were beating the crap out of each other, stood up, leaning against each other, faced each other, and organically walked away and did a cowboy duel because they are both cowboy characters. He is a bounty hunter. Bandito is most wanted. He is a cowboy. We know this. Why the hell all of a sudden Chris Jericho is wearing a cowboy hat on Dynamite and literally makes a whole production out of that instead of the organic moment that we got on Collision in the middle of a match that made sense? Now all of a sudden we're pausing all belief of AEW Dynamite, doing this weird sports entertainment like segment where the lights changed colors and got dim, and Bandito and Chris Jericho did this very elaborate duel thing that just it didn't work. It didn't work at all because it doesn't make sense because Chris Jericho's not a cowboy. He's never been a cowboy. It doesn't make sense. And it's such a like, oh, that worked? I'm gonna do it on Dynamite, but better. I could see the dollar signs in Chris Jericho's head, and it didn't work, bro. It's not working. Whatever you're doing isn't working. I hate that you're ROH champion. It doesn't, like, what are you doing? Like, I get that Chris Jericho has a lot to offer to this business, and I'll never take that away. He is one of my favorite wrestlers probably ever, if I really boil it down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I just feel like what he's doing now is just not working at all. And because I hate, because I love Chris Jericho, you are the latest inductee into the hater club.
Yikes. Sorry, Y2J.
Man,
I love you, but I hate what you're doing.
Joel, I can't disagree, brother. I was watching that trash.
So bad. It was
I thought
corny.
it was going to turn out, when they dropped the blue light spotlight down, I was like, okay,
They're doing too much.
what are we doing? Where are we going with this? And then just Jericho himself, man. There's just something about Jericho right now that I'm just not loving. And it's a lot. Man, I don't know. I wouldn't mind if he disappeared and never came back. Like, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't miss him. I think now it's starting to be dollar signs, how to make more money. I could get anything over when really it's not getting over. It's more of a like, go away heat, please go away forever heat. And it just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of whack, man. It's not doing anything for me. And then not only is he not what we used to, he's not, right? He's older, right? But he just looks bad too. Like, he just looks like he's not taking care of himself. Like, he just looks like he throws on those stupid shiny boots that he wears, a tight pair of jeans, and he just looks like complete garbage. Like, he just looks terrible. He looks terrible.
Sheesh.
He looks terrible, man. Do you see Jeff Jarrett? They're the same age, possibly. And Jeff Jarrett looks at least like he eats a salad. Like, damn, come on, man. Come on, man. Get some tofu, drink drink a protein shake. What are you doing, Chris? Like, you're supposed to be an athlete, a performer. Like, you just, I don't know, man. It ain't working. It ain't working, Joel. I had to piggyback off the hate, because when you said Jericho, I was like, oh man, I gotta get into him. Lewis, do you share the same sentiment, man? Do you where are you at with Jericho?
Jericho is in my top 20 of all time. Okay,
fair,
I love Jericho. Been watching him since I was in the 5th grade, and I've been a fan since. It's just, after hearing Joel's take on this, it makes a lot of sense. And I don't necessarily hate Chris Jericho and what he's doing, but I also don't give a shit. Like, for me to hate, I have to like care.
Have a care
enough to
so
hate
it's
it.
even worse.
Yeah, for me, like, I'm not tuning into. Let's put it this way: when I tune into Dynamite, or I'm reading up on Collision, it refreshes my memory. It jogs my memory that he's actually still on the roster. Because, like, I forget that he's doing this whole learning tree thing, and
right.
Brian Keefe is good.
Yeah, Brian Keefe.
But yeah, it's sort of like that A-list star who is trying to hold on to that status for that much longer.
Like he's in the Matrix. Like,
we might have lost Lou.
We might have lost the administrator. Oh, there he is. There he is.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yes, we can.
All right. Well, my co-host, they lost me. I couldn't see what they were seeing, so this was a very out of body experience, I guess. But in any case, yeah, I don't think that he has it anymore. He can still talk and whatnot, but I don't think he has an appeal anymore.
Yeah,
and that just comes with age, bro. Like, it's just that's it. He still has a lot to offer, like Joel said. He still has a lot to offer in this business. He can be a manager or a producer or a head booker or anything like that.
In the industry, yeah.
But as far as like being booked as a main act, and not even a main act, because he's not anywhere near the main event scene. I mean, unless you count ROH because he's the champ. But yeah, I think his time is done. Yeah, that's simply what my take. His time is just done, man. Like, he doesn't do anything for me anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
It's sad too, because like Lewis, Chris Jericho's definitely probably in my top 20, top 15, maybe something like that. But I've also read his books and stuff like that because I was such a big fan, and I remember in his early books him talking about his times at WCW and how he would be annoyed at the Hogans coming in and taking those top spots, even though they were past their prime. And I'm like, bro, come on, take a look in the mirror. You're kind of you live long enough to see yourself become the villain at this point.
Yeah. Father Time is
and
undefeated.
exactly. And I think what happens too is he has that old school mentality that a lot of the Attitude Era people have the same mentality, because a lot of the Attitude Era people are the people who have like podcasts now and all that stuff. So like Bully Ray and Undertaker and all these guys, they have the same mentality of like, we know what's right because we were over in the biggest era of wrestling. So then they'll just double down on shit, even though fans are telling them like, yo, please retire. Like, those are real chants, man. And they're probably saying that because they were probably fans of you at one point. So they're like, yo, please retire. Save your legacy because this is getting embarrassing, you know?
Yeah, you're right. And Cope is walking that thin line. He's on that line of like, he's on the verge of where people are like, okay, it's the same old. You look, it's just not appealing. You're not entertaining anymore, man. He is real close to it. He's like one or two bad programs away from people being like, man, just get out of here. Like, we're over you. It's a wrap.
But Cope, Cope, I would say Cope. I can't believe we're using the fucking name Cope.
Exactly, Louis. This is why he
got over
there.
He got over, right?
He's always there. This is why.
But this is why Edge is one of the wisest minds in the business, because he even said it. He said, "Give it time, and it will stick." And look, we're all calling him Cope now. But yeah, he's got like maybe one final run, because physically he still looks good and he still can move in the ring and shit like that. So, but I think he's got like one final run until he becomes like one of those guys. Like, hey, but Edge Cope comes across like he knows that, and he knows that he's on borrowed time, because remember, he's not even supposed to be in the position that he's in, coming back from the broken neck and all these other injuries, like
the broken leg.
He at least is well aware that he's on borrowed time. And I think that's what makes fans appreciate him a little more than Chris Jericho at this point.
Right. Well, we'll see how the Chris Jericho and the learning tree of it all breaks down. At least he's getting my man Brian Keith over, which I like. I mean, the guy can go in the ring.
And Big Bill's doing his thing.
And Big Bill's doing his thing with Hobbs too, man. That, you know, when
that's
you get
one
the
thing
meat,
I will say about
when you get the meat chance, that means the fans are sort of into it, right?
That's one thing I will say about Jericho that I think people like. It's a big talking point with like podcasts and online community and stuff, where they'll say that like people get stuck in the Jericho vortex or whatever. I don't think that's that true when you really think about it, because he's gotten a couple people over. Like, if you think about the inner circle, at one point they were pretty over. Nobody cared about Sammy Guevara at all ever in the history of wrestling until Chris Jericho kind of attached himself to him. So I think there is some, like Lewis said, there is still a lot he could offer to the business. Like, he could be a mentor to a lot of these young guys. It's just, he, like you said, he's a little bit over the edge when it comes to like his body. He just doesn't look right. It doesn't look appealing. It's just not. It's not.
Doesn't look like he cares, man.
Yeah, you're right.
Doesn't look like he cares.
You're right.
Well, fellas, we had quite the big one on NXT this past Tuesday, just yesterday. We had hell of a premiere, or a hell of a debut. My man Ricky Starks. Starks.
You mean Dwayne Johnson Jr.?
Dwayne Johnson Jr. Yeah, that man Ricky Starks came into NXT and kind of surprised the hell out of everybody. That was quick, because wasn't it just that same day or the day before AEW announced releases? Technically, their contracts officially ran out, basically. Yeah, which was Malakai, Miro, and Starks.
Yep.
The three men we knew were on the outs anyway. Miro, we haven't seen in like 2 years, which was nuts. Malakai, we knew was gone. Ricky, we knew was gone. Now Ricky makes his way to NXT. Place goes pretty well. They get a pop for him. It's a nice pop for him. He seemed confident. He seemed comfortable. And I was just looking on the internet today, and there's a list of wrestlers, all Cody's friends that are now in in WWE. Starks, Jade Cargill, Ethan Page, and God,
Sean Spears.
Sean Spears. Now all in WWE in some form, and I think Ricky is going to do some big things in NXT. I think they're going to strap the rocket to him, and I think they're going to have your boy get that NXT title sooner than later. That's my prediction. I think he's going to get that title within the next 2 to 3 months, maybe even shorter. Actually, guys, maybe even shorter.
Wow.
Similar to what they did with Ethan Page, right? Ethan Page came in and became champion like almost immediately, almost within a month or so. And Ricky, to me, I like Ethan, but Ricky to me has almost the full package. In ring is all right, but almost the full package in terms of looks, the charisma, the confidence, the on the mic. He just needs to be disciplined and stick to obviously what WWE wants him to do, because he ain't got free reign here. So you're going to read these words the exact way I told you to read, and that's it. Good luck, kid, and go out there. That's it. There's no questions asked. So that's how it's going to be. Fellas, what did you think if you did see the Ricky Starks? I think they're calling him the Absolute One or the One Absolute, something like that. It's something interesting. But what'd you guys think, man, of the man's debut?
Shit, I found out from you two. You texted and I think it was Joel that started the text. And he was like, "Yo, y'all watching NXT?" And if any one of us asks that question, it's like, all right, let me stop what I'm doing, because obviously something popped off. And lo and behold, it was Ricky Stark's debut, and that was very surprising because, like Kayode hit on, he was just named as one of the people officially released just 2 days prior, and he won the Defy title at that promotion over this past weekend, I think it was, or the week before. So it was a very quick turnaround. I think he's gonna be a star because Ricky Starks, there was a lot of untapped potential there in AEW. It's just a shame how it all played out because I felt like he could have done way more. But I'm not sure. Maybe that'll come out in a book or a podcast or like a shoot interview someday, like of what actually went wrong with Ricky Stark's push, because he got to the point where he was getting hot, and then I don't know if he got injured or whatever, but then like he was just off TV for like a year, or it felt like a year, and that was it. Then all of a sudden he's just like talking shit about how he knows his worth. He shows up at GCW, I think House of Glory, MLW. He was showing up to a bunch of different promotions, basically going on like a Ricky Starks world tour. Please sign me now type of thing. But I think Ricky Starks is going to be very, very good. Like I said, I've always liked him. Going back to Ethan Page, you made a good point. They put the title on Ethan Page relatively quickly. I gotta say, I've never really been into Ethan Page. I think he's okay. I don't. He doesn't really do much for me. But Ricky Starks, I feel like is going to be a much bigger deal than Ethan Page was. So props to him, man. It's good for. It's good for wrestling as a whole. I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, there goes Tony Khan and people leaving his company again. Like, no, man, these things just happen. But I want to touch on Miro and Malakai Black. These two individuals are very interesting because they're in the Andrade Club. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. These guys have now been given an opportunity to do their thing in two different companies, major companies, I should say. And it didn't pan out the way we all thought it would. So, I mean, this is just a general question. Is it the talent to blame, or is it the company that's booking them that's to blame? I'll start with Miro. With Rusev, he had a pretty decent run in WWE, and then he got really over with Rusev Day, that gimmick, and then just kind of fizzled out. They didn't want to do anything with him, so he comes to AEW. And as Miro, like with the Redeemer shit, that was great.
Fire.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure what happened. I mean, I know he was battling injuries for a little while, but I'm not sure what happened there. Then with Malakai Black, he was great as Aleister Black when he was in NXT.
Oh yeah, man.
They didn't know what to do with him on the main roster, so you knew that when was just the writing was on the wall. Then he comes to AEW and he barely had any singles match. They just wanted to push him as 1/3 of a trio, and it was cool for a minute. But I'm like, he's way more talented than that. And again, it didn't work out. So if these two guys go back to WWE, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it really? Can we really say, oh, Tony Khan didn't know how to push him, because they were already in WWE, folks? So I'm putting it out there for all the stupid marks out there that want to point the finger to Tony Khan. Oh, he doesn't know how to book talent. But like, they've already
the cliffhanger, man. It was just
like
coming in and out. There you are. You back, Lou?
Oh, I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
My bad.
You back.
Well, no,
you left us on the cliffhanger. We didn't know what you left
putting
off
it all there for.
Well, okay, that's where. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm posing this question and putting it out there for all the stupid marks out there that want to point the finger to Tony Khan and say, "Oh, he doesn't know how to book talent and he sucks and this, that, and the third." But like, they already worked for WWE, so what are we really saying here? I don't have behind the scenes knowledge. I obviously don't get paid as a wrestling writer. I'm not in the know with all backstage politics. I know just as much as any other fan knows, but one can speculate like as much as they want. But at some point, where do you draw the line and say, yeah, this is a talent problem? And then going back to the Andrade thing, Andrade is as big as he's ever going to be in the States, because there's a language barrier. He's a great wrestler. Everybody knows that. But he is never going to get to the top star level, because there's just something missing. Is there something missing with Malakai / Aleister Black? Is there something missing with Miro? And we may not have an answer to it, but I don't want to hear that Tony Khan dropped the ball, because they were already in WWE. So
That's
what
true.
the hell?
That's true. Listen, man. Word on the street is that Miro didn't want to do any. He didn't want to drop to anybody. He didn't want to lose any matches and stuff. And I think the same thing with Malakai. Like, I don't think he wanted to lose matches. And how dare you come into my promotion and tell me, Tony Khan, the man signing your checks, that you ain't gonna do the job, when if Mr. McMahon walked up in your face and said, "Hey, Miro, you're dropping hard tonight. Like, you going down. There's no question that you ain't doing that, right?
Yeah.
You can fight all you want, but you ain't gonna win. But you go to another company and think you could just kind of muscle your way in like you're John Cena, and think that I'm just gonna listen to you because you're from the big bad WWE and you were mid card at best, and now you think you could just come in and tell me what you gonna do? Nah, Playboy. And to be honest, I'm glad they're gone, because I don't want anybody in my company with that type of mentality who don't want to do the work or who don't want to do business.
Yeah.
Peace
It's
out.
a business.
Like, you could go that way. It's a business, Playboy, right? You'll get your run. You got to work with me. You're Miro and you're Malakai. You don't think I'm going to give you a run if you do business? Of course I'm going to. You guys are too talented not to, right? Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. So I'd rather you not be here. So I'm not going to miss them. Peace out. Let's see if they go back to Triple H and see if Triple H will do anything with them. I highly doubt it. I wouldn't even make that move if I'm them, to tell you the honest truth. If I'm Malakai, maybe because my wife is there just to be closer. But other than that, and for the check, and other than that, there's really nothing else for me to do here. There's no other business here. I don't know where they slot Malakai in. I don't even know where you slot Miro in. It doesn't make sense. So, good riddance. Joe, what do you think, man?
I mean, going back to what Lou said about like what with Ricky Starks, and if they were like, if we were ever to learn about what happened, you know, if there's a book or a shoot interview one day where everything gets, I would love to hear all of these stories, because Miro and Malakai Black, right? I think the rumor was right that they didn't want to do job, they didn't want to lose to anybody, whatever. I really want to know what the mentality was, and there must have been a crazy locker room split at one point in AEW that they're still trying to get over it, and you could kind of feel it a little bit, right? Because there was the whole Punk situation, obviously.
True.
I'm sure a lot of people sided with Punk during that situation, especially during the initial situation with his issue with the Young Bucks and all that. So I'm sure there was people that sided with him. Then you had Cody leave, and I'm sure there were people that sided with Cody and were probably in AEW because of Cody. And maybe that's Ricky Starks, you know, maybe that's Malakai Black. He was the first person he had a program with when he came to AEW. So I really want to know, one day we're going to get like the rise and fall or whatever of AEW. Hopefully not the fall.
Hopefully.
We need them.
But if we get, you know, like the first 5 years of AEW, someone tells the tale, that's going to be like the most like eye-opening book when it comes to this wrestling shit. Because like there has to be something that went wrong with Ricky Starks. This guy had, like Lewis said, some of the biggest pushes out of any of the young stars in AEW when you really think about it. Like, he had matches against Bryan Danielson, matches against Samoa Joe, MJF, Sting. He had matches against Sting. Like, this guy had very good spotlight at a certain time, and then all of a sudden it was just like radio silence, and he just wasn't being booked anymore. We don't know what happened there. There must have been something that happened backstage or whatever. And I hope we get to hear that story one day. But when it comes to Malakai and Miro, I definitely don't want to hear any of that chatter of like, if they show up on SmackDown this Friday, I don't want to hear no chatter about how TK dropped the ball or whatever. Because, man, Miro had an incredible run as the Redeemer, TNT champ, way better run than he ever had in WWE as a single star. Like, you gotta maybe put it up with Rusev Day, but that was a comedy act. It wasn't him just being portrayed as like a monster like he was in AEW. And then the rumor I remember at the time was that he didn't want to lose to Hangman, which is like, he's the star of the company. Guys. He's the face of the company. Like, it's not that big of a deal to do a job to the biggest guy in the company. Man. Like, what the hell? So if that's true, that sucks. So I really want to know what happens with this guy. I do think Malakai could have been used better in AEW, but we don't know if there was some issues, some injuries, or whatever the case it was. And he did end up, seems like, leaving on good terms since he lost to Adam Cole recently on an episode of Dynamite. It wasn't too long ago. So I'll be interested to see Malakai in WWE. I don't really want to see Rusev. I think I'm good. I don't need to see him.
I think we've seen him, and I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know what we're gonna get different, to tell you the truth. Like,
sure. I will say though, Kayode, what you said about Ricky Starks, I gotta agree with you. You kind of convinced me about giving him the NXT title within the next couple months. I am a Obafemi mark right now though, so I don't 100%. Want him to lose the title anytime soon. But it does, like, I think if they strike while the iron's hot, because he could be a huge baby face. And that's the difference between him and Ethan Page. Ethan Page came in as a heel, won the title. It was kind of like he won the title like by mistake. It was like a whole part of the story. So like, I understand why they did that as a story beat. But if you give Ricky Starks the NXT title while he's hot, like fresh, he could be the biggest star in NXT, which isn't that big of a deal. But
Exactly.
from there, you put him in the main roster, let's say right after Mania or something.
Yeah.
And that guy's hot as like fish grease. Woo.
Yeah.
Then you got a new star right there, and he could talk his ass off. So that'd be great.
I'm going to predict
Damn, did
right
you say
now.
fish grease? What a visual.
Yeah.
Hot as fish grease.
Listen, man, I'm predicting right now Obafemi versus Ricky Starks at that stand and deliver
Yeah,
WrestleMania pay-per-view.
That's
Going to be the match.
That'd be good.
We
That'd be
get
good.
Ricky, and that will be exactly the prediction within the month or two. And there we go. Oba goes right to the main roster because Oba could go right main roster right now and kill it. And Ricky, biggest babyface in probably NXT history if they do him, if they really book him right. He could be the biggest babyface in NXT history. He could be. He absolutely could be but he's got to kill it. He's got to kill it. But I'm going to tell you one thing, fellas. Some people who weren't killing it that clearly got the boot.
This is like such a sad
group of people we're looking at, guys.
Sheesh.
I mean, and the one person that's not here, Elektra Lopez, let go. She was trash anyway. I'm sorry. No disrespect, but she was not good at all at anything she was doing. She's not good at all.
I liked Elektra Lopez.
Come on, Lou. Come on, man. Don't.
She's got a good Instagram page.
Yeah, well, listen. If we're going to grade Instagram pages, Elektra Lopez is one of the greatest in the business.
Man.
But if we're going by pure talent in wrestling, she just didn't have it. And WWE.
Look, I was really pulling for her. Yeah, I was to touch on Elektra Lopez real quick. I was really pulling for her because I really feel like she encapsulated a look of a potential star because she was fine, right? Like she's downright fine. And then when you have someone like that, and then when you have someone like that as a manager of a group, and she had the aura, but I think she just didn't have it so much on the mic. And then, obviously the in-ring left much to be desired.
Man. Yeah.
But there's something there with Elektra Lopez. I feel like somebody is going to pick her up. I don't know what promotion, wherever she lands, but somebody is going to basically know how to cultivate her potential. You know what I'm saying? I think there's something there. There definitely is something there.
I can see where you're coming from. You're putting her over real hard right now. So which leads me to believe either she sent you a check or you really like her a lot. So you're putting her over. But no, I get what you're saying. She definitely. I get what you're saying, Lewis, because I feel like she just didn't get enough reps, and I don't.
Yeah.
And I think she just couldn't cultivate a style in the ring, and maybe she needs to go somewhere else to get all that out and learn, and then maybe come back at some point. Who knows? But I could see why you say that, because I was high on her a little bit, even in the NXT days. So yeah, but this group here though, no one here surprises me. No one here surprises me. I'm slightly shocked by Isla Dawn. Which she was in that tag team with Alba Fire, and Alba Fire started getting slightly pretty because of Isla Dawn, and that slightly pretty is like not even like pretty, like it's just like bare minimum. Like it's passing for TV. Like we just got to throw you out there and just hopefully, it's that kind. It was just that kind of. I'm sorry, I'm not lying. Y'all just ain't saying. I'm not lying, but I'm just slightly surprised in her because she had the sex appeal meets the sinister thing going on. In ring was decent. Again, could have been better, but passing. She was my slight like, oh, really? That was the only person in this list. Everybody else, AOP sucked since the beginning of time. I don't know. My God, I don't know.
God bless Paul Ellering.
Since the beginning of time.
they didn't do anything with Paul Ellering. They didn't do anything creative with Homeboy. They didn't do anything that was like any type of interesting. You got Paul Ellering, this sinister, evil manager. You didn't even cut like decent promos with this guy. Like it was terrible. And AOP was just trash the entire time, hurting people, looking like they didn't know what they were doing, didn't know look like what city they were in. Like it was just crazy. Yeah, I'm not surprised in anybody else. Sonya Deville, she just literally came back from an injury. You thought they were going to do something with that trio, but I don't know, man.
I was surprised by her.
Yeah,
she would be my second to be surprised in. But other than that, what do you guys think, man?
I mean, for me, I think like you said, Isla Dawn for sure. I was surprised by. I mean, anytime these people lose their jobs, it sucks. But at the end of the day, I get it, right? Like if you're not being used, it's probably you. I mean, it depends on what your goal is in wrestling, I guess. But it's probably better for you if you're not being used and you want to actually get your reps in. I'm sure the Good Brothers are probably pissed because they were getting paid to be in catering for years.
Yeah.
so they're probably pissed. But everybody else, if they want to actually keep wrestling, they weren't really getting TV time like that anyway. So it kind of might be good for them to go get those reps somewhere else. Someone like an Elektra Lopez, like you mentioned, I think her getting reps somewhere else would be incredible for her career. I am surprised by Blair Davenport just because she is a really good wrestler and she's been killing it for a while. They just never really got her character right, I feel like.
Yeah,
but
I don't know what
she could go in the ring, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her show up in AEW. I think she was actually in AEW during the beginning when like they first started off in the Jacksonville days and stuff. So I could see her going back there. And yeah, like you said, everyone else, Cedric Alexander I like, and I think he still has talent and he could do stuff in the ring. So I could see him maybe showing up on Impact or AEW one of these days. But yeah, man, it sucks with Elektra Lopez too because they literally had her talk on Friday on SmackDown. Like she literally had a promo backstage, and it was good. I was like, oh, it was one of those like segments with the Legado talking to one of the tag teams, and she just kind of stood in and did like the final word, and I was like, oh, okay, Elektra Lopez, I see you. And then the next day they literally like released her, and I'm like, damn. And then same with Sonya Deville, she was in the Royal Rumble, and then a couple days later they're just like
cold-blooded.
Yeah, like it's tough. It's tough for sure, but I could see some of these people going out there and probably making bigger names for themselves on the indies. So good luck to everybody, and I don't know.
Good luck in your future endeavors.
Yeah, exactly.
Future endeavors.
Your future endeavors, fellas.
It's interesting though, real quick, because now that they have this relationship with TNA, I wonder like, are we gonna see a lot more of these releases? But it's kind of be like a little under the book deal, where like, yo, go work in TNA for a little bit. We'll sign you back in a couple of years. You know, I wonder if we're gonna see a lot more of that because like the roster is so stacked. We talked about this last week. That WWE roster is so stacked. There's going to be so many people left off of WrestleMania, and it's 2 nights.
And 2 nights.
So like, you got to start thinking like, basically, if you're not Samoan, you better be working your ass off right now to get on that card. That's the only guarantee. If you're a Samoan, you're on the card. Everybody else, prove yourself.
Yo, that's a fact though. If you ain't Samoan, Fatu or Noai, you better.
You don't got that golden ticket.
You got that golden ticket, Playboy. You better be related, know somebody, sleep. You gotta be into Samoan something.
Yeah, bro. You better start doing your 23andMe and seeing if you got any Samoan in you. Because right now it ain't looking bright right now.
That's for real, true. Bro. Those Samoans are taking over, and you're gonna at least get 3-4 matches, at least from the top of my head.
Yeah.
That's going to involve that Samoan, that family.
That
so the blood. You're right. Well, we'll see how this WrestleMania, shapes up. I'm not. So far, I'm not. Well, we don't know anything really. We kind of are guessing and fantasy booking some stuff.
We have
but
one
still,
match so far.
We'll see how it goes. people saying Jay's gonna get that title though. They're gonna end that night on a big like yeet.
Yeet
90,000, whatever the number is, just yeeting all over the place. That's what they're aiming for. That the yeet is over. That's what it is. The yeet is over. But fellas, man, many final words before we close out episode 82 this week. Any final words?
Shout out to all the new followers that we've gained on Instagram and TikTok. We love you, and we're looking forward to reaching out to some folks, fellow podcasters, to see if we can collaborate and
man, get a show going.
Get a show going. So be on the lookout for that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, for sure. And make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff. We're everywhere. Anywhere you listen to your podcast, go out there and find us.
Yes, sir. Listen, y'all. This is episode 82. This is on the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I'm your boy Kayode, joined by Joel and Lewis. Until next time, peace.
You have just listened to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, a Scriptly adapted production. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at On the Mark Wrestling. And email us on onthemarkpodcast@gmail.com.